Oh, is it working? It is. Hello and welcome to this Aim High Live. I really hope this one doesn't mess up. I've disconnected everything from the Wi-Fi except for this. Um, Hi everyone. So already there are loads of people on the chat. It's so wait, what's going on? Kieran's been learning Hungarian in quarantine. Jeff saying Hungarian is really hard. Hungarian is really hard. Um, Anyway, hi Pumpkin Master. Pumpkin Master's asking how my BBC filming was. Yeah, I was filming on the BBC for the BBC Learning thing on Friday, and I think it was good. I put in like a few interesting facts. They wanted me to talk about breathing, and so I was talking about how. Well, maybe you know. Does anyone know why it is so hard to get rid of garlic breath? Why is it that when you brush your teeth, that doesn't actually help to get rid of garlic breath? Um, Anyway, thanks Tova for saying you like my jumper. So yeah, let me know what you think. I'm just gonna switch over to the other screen. Switching over. So yeah, today's live is about how do magnets work and why we shouldn't eat them. And I tried running it last week and the internet fell apart. So for those of you who've seen it before, the beginning will be a bit similar, but I'll weave in some other things as well. Yeah, and also if this is your first time, then this is an Aim High Live, so ask questions whenever you want. I'm going to talk about magnets and why they're delicious but deadly. And yeah, if you'd like to ask questions, then throw them in whenever you like. If you're watching on the website here, then you'll be able to see all the chat that's going on across all the different platforms that are watching. And I think the same if you're watching on YouTube, and maybe the same if you're watching on Twitch as well. If you're watching on Facebook, it'll feel a little bit lonely because you'll only be able to see your own chat. So maybe head here if you want to see what everyone's saying, because loads of people are talking. And I can it must seem quiet over on Facebook. And yeah, if you're watching on one of my channels, head here as well, because only mine run on my channels, whereas everyone's run on these ones for this online school. Anyway, right. So yeah, I just asked the question: why is it that you can't brush your teeth to get rid of garlic breath? Why won't brushing your teeth get rid of garlic breath? Oh. And I think I've seen someone throwing answers in the chat. Wait, let me see. Jeff's saying that if you put garlic on your feet, then you can taste it after a while. And again, that is that is true. I mean, it takes quite a lot of garlic, but yes, it's possible to absorb garlic through your skin and take it through your bloodstream and then carry it back to a place where you can taste it again. But no one has said why it is that you can't get rid of garlic breath with brushing your teeth. It is because unlike most bad smells in your mouth, let's take this rat as a rat that has brushed its teeth, but unfortunately has still got garlic breath. So this rat is going out to meet its mates, and yeah, it's brushed its teeth, but its breath still smells of garlic. The reason why is because when you have garlic breath, it is because you are breathing the garlic directly out of your lungs. It's not because of a bad smell in your mouth. You're breathing it out of your lungs because the garlic has got into your bloodstream, and then you're breathing it out there. So it's a pretty difficult smell to get rid of. But actually, I really like garlic, so. Miz has 3 bulbs of garlic. Is that enough for feet testing? Miz, get it squished down into a nice paste, rub it all over your feet. Tell us how you feel in half an hour. We really want to know. Please update us. Just don't eat garlic before meeting your fiance rat. Yes. Okay. So yes. Oh, you're asking me about the BBC thing. So I that was one of the facts that I tried to weave in, and I'm completely convinced they're going to cut it. I think they're going to cut all of the interesting facts that I put in, but hopefully not. Hopefully they'll keep some of them, but we shall see. Anyway, right. So I think a lot of you were here last time, and so when I ran this before, and so I'll run through this quite quickly. But for those who weren't, can anyone guess or can anyone tell what the link is between these 3 things? What do these 3 things? What brings them together? So we've got ourselves a train, a rat, and some leather. What brings these things together? Let's get some guesses in. Jeff's encouraging Miz to get that garlic on her feet. Get the garlic on your feet, Miz. So yeah, sorry if you are joining live, then thanks so much for coming. If this is your first time, then do ask questions whenever you want. I'm going to talk mainly about this topic, why do magnets work and why we shouldn't eat them, but it will also kind of go around different things as well, like we were talking about why you can't get rid of garlic breath, and now I've just asked what is it that rats and leather and trains have in common, and I think let's see, the Pumpkin Master is saying the leather holds the train tunnels together, but the pesky rats kept stealing it. Yes. Okay. So this is getting towards what I was talking about last time. So the sun's suddenly got so bright. Right. So the other cool fact that I was talking about last time that I want to put into is this: rats' teeth. Rats' teeth keep growing for their whole lives. And so that's why they have to keep chewing. They have to keep chewing stuff to wear the teeth down. And if they don't, then the teeth will grow so big that what will happen? Who remembers from last time what happens? Or who knows, if this is your first time, what happens if rats' teeth get too long? Kieran apparently rubbed garlic on the feet of his little brother. What happened? And Jasmine's rabbit broke her tooth and it grew back because it was continual growth tooth. And very unknown person is saying the rats will be very, very sad if their teeth continue to grow. Yeah, very, very sad is a bit of an understatement because the teeth will continue to grow and potentially will pierce through the top of their heads and kill them. So rats have to keep eating. Have to keep chewing all the time. Otherwise, their teeth could get too long and it could actually kill them. Rats also have a constant need for hydration. They get thirsty a lot faster than most mammals. So the best way to get rid of rats is not to isolate your food supply necessarily. The best way to get rid of rats is to make sure they can't drink anything. If there's nowhere in your entire house that a rat can get a drink, then the rat is not going to hang out in your house. Or at least if there's no connection to a sewer or somewhere where it can get a drink. So if you've got a rat problem in your house, it's because there is somewhere that the rats can easily drink and then go back to the food supplies. All about getting that delicious water in. Anyway, right. So yes, I was asking what these three things have in common, and the reason I was asking it, so it's going a little bit around what's important. But the reason I was asking it is because I wanted to talk to you about the most efficient trains. So the most efficient trains are something called maglev. Maglev, which many of you will have probably already heard of, which means magnetic levitation. And so instead of having wheels that are like screeching along the track, instead there are magnets that are repelling one another so that the trains hover. And because the trains hover or levitate, they have hardly any friction as they're flying along. So the bullet trains in Japan use this system called maglev. Who has been on a bullet train in Japan? Who's been lucky enough to have been to Japan and been on a bullet train? It is, yeah, it's when you see the photos of them, you know how like the nose of an English train looks like this. Well, if the bullet trains kind of look like this, their noses are like these really long curvy things like that. That look like a Pinocchio nose. They're really funny. Anyway, yeah, of course, sorry, I'm adding wheels. They don't have wheels. They've got maglev underneath. So Mariella's had a go, and Jeff really wants to. Yeah, it's such a cool thing. They're such a cool thing, maglev trains. But anyway, they're so fast because they have very little friction, and so they can just whiz along the rail. Now, this is one of the best kind of trains that we have. But so something that I was talking about before, and so I'll go quickly over this bit as well, is yeah, the Hyperloop one. What's the Hyperloop one? Remind me in the chat. And if you're joining late, then thanks for coming. This is an Aim High Live, so you can ask questions whenever you want. If you're watching on Facebook, you'll find that you can't see most of the chat because most of it is actually going on here on aimhigh.co. So go there if you want to see what everyone's chatting about. And wondering why I keep talking as if I'm replying to people because they're all on there. And yeah, thanks for coming on. But also, if you're on one of my platforms like my YouTube, then just be aware that only mine go on my platforms, whereas all the others from like Hannah and Nish and Phil and those guys, they all only go on here. So check it out here. To make them, so Kieran's asking, could we do that to car wheels to make them more efficient? Make them maglev? Yeah, it would be great if we could maglev all the cars, but the problem is that it's a lot easier to do magnetic levitation if it's like just next to a rail, so you can have like a central rail here and then the magnets all around the railing, and then the train can be just floating slightly above it, so it's only hovering slightly above. Whereas with cars on the roads, it'd be really difficult. You'd need really strong magnets under the roads all the time, and then different cars would have different magnetizer. Yeah, it'd be super hard. But basically, we should get everyone on trains because trains are great. So this is what I was going to say, and again, I'll rush through this a bit because this happened in the time that we ran it before that we had to stop it early. The original design for trains was to run them in tubes. And so this idea of Elon Musk's, for those who know Elon Musk, is to recreate this idea, to get a train between LA and San Francisco in the US that runs through a tube. And basically what you can do is you can have to San Fran to LA. So yeah, you can have the train on the inside, and then all you need to do, in fact, let me draw a tube here. If you have the tube like this, then you build the train inside, like that. And so this can be the train compartment here. And then all you need to do is build up loads of pressure at the back, and at the front you suck all of the air out. And so you suck in front of the train and you pump air in behind the train, and it goes down the tunnel incredibly efficiently, far more efficiently than trains on rails. And so this was the original design for trains instead of having them on rails and on wheels. Who knows what the reason is that we did not use this design, as in people started trialing it and then people gave up on it, and it's all to do with some kind of material that they used to seal between the pipes because it was the best sealant material that they could find to maintain the pressure levels. What was that material and what went wrong with it? What do you guys think? What was this material and why didn't it work? Okay, what do you guys think? I'm just going to catch up on a bit of chat here. Sorry I'm late. Max is late. Max, don't worry about it. We actually haven't quite caught up yet on the one that got stopped early last time. Okay, so Larky's saying leather, which is exactly right. And Very Unknown Person saying, wouldn't that make the acceleration braking uncomfortable for passengers? It would if you built up enormous amounts of pressure behind with the brakes on, and then a huge vacuum in front with the brakes on, and then suddenly release the brakes and it would go down the tube. That would be terrible. But instead, you can just like gradually release the brakes on the train, and so you gradually speed up, so you can have a nice slow acceleration, so it isn't terrible for the passengers on the inside. But yes, so Jasmine's saying it as well. Ratty leather maintenance, says Larky, the rats. Wait, and Mariella's saying, where is the vote now extension for the poll? I didn't get that. And Jeff is saying, yeah, the rats started eating the leather. So this is what these things had in common that I was talking about before. Trains, rats, and leather. Is that the original design for trains was to have them in these tubes with high pressure behind, low pressure in front. But the best material they had for sealing these tubes together was leather. And the rats kept eating the leather because the leather was so delicious. And so they realized that it would take such a lot of maintenance to keep these trains running that they had to just give up on running them. And so yeah, that was why trains ended up on tracks instead. And it's a shame because if they just invented rubber a few years earlier, they could have used rubber instead, which would have been a far better material that the rats wouldn't have eaten. And then all of our trains would be in tubes. And the Hyperloop would not be such a great idea. Anyway, so yeah, there was one cool thing about the Hyperloop that I was trying to explain at the end before we now go on to the new before we go on to the new stuff, which is that the design for the Hyperloop, so it's this tube that isn't see-through. It's not see-through, and it's this opaque metal tube that's going to run a really long way. Someone has proposed that you could get like thin slivers of glass. So it's like metal, 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 thin slither of glass, and then loads of metal again. And you could have these thin slithers of glass all the way along the tube every now and then. Why would you have these thin slithers of glass just every now and then? What would be the point in that? What do people think? Oh wow! Okay. So there are different people on the team who are running stuff, and it seems like someone has set up a poll asking what my favorite animal is. I know what my favorite animal is. What do you guys think? Um, yeah, but I think you'll only be able to see the poll if you're on the Aim High website or on the Twitch maybe. Um, and Jasmine's saying, yeah, it's just like a zoetrope. So okay, coming back to these slithers of glass. What you have to imagine is that you're on the train and it's just there are windows, but it's just darkness because it's just a metal casing around the outside. But as you start to get really fast, you'll get these tiny little slithers of light that will come in just at the point when you pass a little section of glass. And so you'll get a little flash of light from the outside coming in through the window. And obviously, if the train's going quite slowly, then you'll see a tiny flash of light and then nothing for a while, and then a tiny flash of light and then nothing for a while. And that won't really mean anything to you. But when the train is going so quickly that you're seeing 24 of these every single second, you will think that the entire tube is made of glass. You will be completely convinced that the entire tube is made of glass because you will be able to see out of it as if it's transparent. Because 24 times a second you'll be getting a flash, and that will convince your brain that you were just seeing a continuous scene of light. And so yeah, that's why someone's decided to put in these. That would be a good idea to put in these little bits of glass. And okay, right. So yeah, it looks like the poll was only on Twitch. We need to find a way. Okay, we'll build in. Don't worry about the poll then. We're going to find a way to build the poll into the website, so that everyone coming to the website can do it instead. Okay, so magnets. Let's move on with more magnet stuff. Right, here is a picture of a person with a magnet dangling from their finger, and why? Like, how is this? How is this happening? How is this person magnetic? And what does it mean? Like, this is something that's become, like, quite a few people have tried to achieve this. Magnet man. Oh, I thought it was they look like female fingers to me somehow, but maybe they're male fingers as well. Magnet human. And did a radioactive spider bite them? No. It would be so bad if a radioactive spider bit you, because chances of turning into Spider-Man would be so small, and most of the time you'd just be terrible. And Max is asking who designs or codes the website. Good question, Max. In fact, it's on my list to like redesign it with our designer, because I know it's quite old. Nearly fell off my chair. Okay, yeah. How is this person magnetic? Does anyone know? No one has answered. Right. Okay. So it's become a thing that people have started to do to put tiny magnets underneath their skin, and they're just like. Or sometimes just tiny pieces of magnetic metal. And this is quite a strange thing to do, and I wouldn't necessarily recommend it. Um, but quite a few people have started to do this, and it's really interesting to hear them report that they feel like they're developing a new sense in the same way that we can smell and taste and feel. People with these with this with the kind of magnets or little bits of magnetic metal under their skin start to feel magnetic fields as if it's a sense as natural as detecting the light. And also, obviously, they can feel magnets, and this kind of sixth sense seems quite bizarre to me. Is anyone up for that? Is anyone up for this procedure? Let's take a poll. Who will do it? Who will get them magnet procedure? I don't know if I've spelled that right. It's hidden behind the thing. Who is up for it? Who are the yeses and who are the nos? And Gerthy's asking about homing pigeons have small traces of ferrous metal in their beaks. In fact, that is what I'm just about to get onto. And Aim High Live is not me at the moment. I think Aim High Live might be Henry, who ran the live about whales, sperm whales on Friday. Pumpkin Master is saying, I wonder how much of life we're missing out on because we don't have the senses to experience it. And that's a really good point. Like, there must be so much of life that we're missing out on. Because, but that's the amazing thing about the brain is that if you give... So I don't know if you guys saw the live where we were showing Neil Harbison, who has the probe. I did that, I think, last week or maybe the week before. With Neil Harbison has the probe that's wired into his brain that is constantly detecting colours and converting them into sounds. And so he perceives the world in a whole different way that we can't really understand. And the brain is incredibly smart. And if you give it a new way to understand the world around it, it will rewire itself to include that in its kind of judgment of what's around it. So yeah, if you got a bionic eye that allowed you to see ultraviolet and infrared, your brain would rewire to adapt to that. And you would learn to deal with that new perception, and you'd become like ultra perceptive. And some people are more perceptive than others. Some people have a reduced amount of colours they can see. Some people have an increased amount of smells that they can detect. Anyway, who is up for the magnet procedure? No, I'm just seeing loads of... Jeff's up for it. Kieran's up. Loads of people see... Oh, it is Henry. Loads of people, surprisingly large number of people seem up for the magnet procedure. And someone called Three Luas, I can't pronounce that, said that they'd be scared to ruin their own electronics by including, of course, because if you've got magnets under your fingers, then you would damage your electronics as you're touching them potentially. Okay, so Max is talking about how Aboriginals refer to directions as north, south, etc. instead of right and left. And there are some scientists who talk about humans potentially having a magnetic perception. However, this was one of the things that I spent actually a really long time studying, because this was one of the things this was my final year at Oxford, was about magnetic perception. So there is actually no evidence of any humans having any ability to do magnetic perception, but certainly there are different cultural things where different cultures will have a much better idea of where north, south, and so on are. So like Aboriginals, different cultures do it differently. So like if you go to Hawaii, then the people there tend not to talk about north, south, east, and west as much. They'll talk about seawoods and volcano woods, because in the middle of every mountain, in the middle of every island is a big volcano, and then all around it is the edge of the island and then the sea. And so their directions are always go volcano woods or go seawoods or go in one of those directions that you're pointed in. And so different cultures describe things in different ways. And there's so many cool comments coming in about different people having different words for directions, and different people have different words for different cultures. Some cultures don't have any words for numbers either. There are some cultures who their numbers are just like I think maybe they have one, but then after that it's just like a few, many, lots, and that's their entire numbers system. Anyway, right, so before I talk about magnetic perception, and how I'm going to talk about birds being able to see magnets, actually, is where I'm gonna start with. But I just wanted to show you guys this guy because he's amazing. This guy is called Richard Feynman, and he is I don't know how many of you have heard of this guy. Who's heard of Richard Feynman? Oh, there's loads of. Mariella's just posted us text, and I was trying to read it, Mariella, but it's too much. Yeah, so yeah, Richard Feynman is this amazing. Or he died. He's died now. But he was this amazing physicist who was also like a seriously good communicator who loved explaining loads of concepts with physics. And there's this great series of interviews with him where he's talking to the BBC, and the BBC are asking him to explain all this stuff, and he's obviously having like the best time playing his bongos, like explaining all these cool ideas. And then, if you watch it, there's a scene where they ask him about magnets, and they're like, okay, so how do magnets work? And his whole kind of like vibe just breaks down a little bit, and he kind of tries to answer the question or tries to give something kind of clever and interesting, but basically what becomes quite obvious from watching it is that nobody really knows. Like, we don't really know how magnets work. They are like, this is what we do know. What we do know is that if you take anything charged, so if you take like a positive charge, like a proton or something, and you spin it in a circle or you make it move in a circle, then you will get a magnetic field, and the magnetic field will be perpendicular to it, so at right angles to it. So if you spin it round in a circle like that, then you will get a magnetic field that goes kind of up through the middle of it, like that, upwards. And if you spin it in the other direction, then the magnetic field will go downwards. And that's kind of what we know. Like that's how you make a magnetic field. So when people ask like, why does the Earth have a magnetic field, it's because you've got lots of I'm going to call it charged, even though some of you will know that's quite a simplification. But there's kind of like charged material in the center of the Earth. So let's have Feynman's head as the Earth. So there's charged material in the center of the Earth, which is like the iron core, and the iron core is constantly spinning. And because the core is spinning, that's why we get this magnetic field generated for the Earth. Kieran's asking, why does supercooling a magnet make it stronger? So a lot of creating strong magnetic fields is about ensuring that everything is aligned in the direction that will create the strongest magnetic field. And the more you introduce temperature into that, the more you're creating kind of chaotic energy that will disrupt that. And so, if you want to take a normal metal bar magnet and destroy it, all you have to do is heat it up really hot. And you heat it up really hot. And a good way to think of a bar magnet is like as having loads of, so if that's the north and that's the south, is having loads of tiny little molecular magnets inside it that are all aligned in the right direction. And because they're all aligned in the right direction, overall the magnetism is north. But if you heat it up, all those molecules start to scatter all over the place and go in random directions, and before you know it, they're all pointing in random directions and opposing one another, and you've got no magnet. I'm not sure, Giffy, if he had the patent on the nuclear bomb. I don't think Feynman did the Manhattan Project, but maybe I'm wrong on that. My history of that stuff is not as good. So Gethy's also talking about Piraha speakers, which is the language where they don't have the words for numbers, saying that they're able to process numbers like other people when they're taught other languages, which of course, which is a really good point and really important to think about, is that it's not that people in that culture just don't have the ability to process numbers, it's just that their culture doesn't have numbers in it, and so they have to be taught outside cultures to start to come to terms with them and start to think about them. And Gerthy's saying this just became an anthropology stream in comments. I actually love it. It's so good. It's giving me some things to look at as well afterwards. And Max is saying Feynman fan. Right, okay, so Eating magnets. Why? In fact, before I just answer one of the main questions of this, why does anyone know why it's such a bad idea to eat magnets? Why should you not eat magnets? Why is it one of the most disastrous things? Why is it that when you get packets of magnets, they'll almost always say on them, "Keep away from young children"? Why is eating magnets such a disaster? And I'll see what comes in on the comments on that. Pumpkin Master saying too many calories. And Miz saying they're not tasty. They are tasty. Magnets are great. Depends what sauce you have. And Jeff is saying, will we get pulled to any magnetic stuff? So no, if you've just got some little magnets in, you don't need to worry about like being pulled towards a magnetic field or anything. Very unknown person is saying that they did eat a magnet as a child. And that it was great. Cool. Japan Maple saying it'll pull you to the North Pole, which would be fine. You know, the North Pole is a great place to be. Fatima is saying maybe a choking hazard. And Jasmine saying maybe heavy metal is bad for one's aura. It's not that. And no one's quite got it yet. Okay, well, I'll give you a clue. It's not actually too bad to eat a magnet. It's not bad to eat a magnet. What's bad is eating magnets. Why you shouldn't eat them? Why is it a problem to eat multiple magnets? Why is it so bad to eat multiple magnets? Jasmine's asking about iron in the blood. No, that's fine as well. If anything, you know, it could be good for you to get a little bit more iron. Although you need it to be like pure iron you won't be able to absorb. Okay, so now we're talking. So Oliver's coming in saying sticking together from different parts of the digestive system, and Kieran's saying the same thing when they attract each other. Exactly. So very unknown person saying the same thing. Jeff's saying they would cause your internal system to combust. So it's not going to cause you to set on fire. But this is the big danger. This is why it's a terrifying thing when a really young child eats multiple magnets, because what you really hope is that the magnets are going to find one another and stick together immediately. Because if they don't, then what will inevitably happen is when they're going around the intestine, they'll stick together through a wall, cause internal bleeding, and it could actually really lead to death if it's not treated properly at a hospital. So eating multiple magnets is a very, very bad idea. Anyway, right, let's talk a bit about magnetic perception for the end. Here's a robin, and the robin has got an eye patch on. Why does this robin have an eye patch on? Does anyone know what effect will it have on this robin if it's got an eye patch on? What effect does this eye patch have on the robin other than making it look cooler? It's not really cool, is it? It's kind of like look a bit more respectable. Look more respectable. Yeah, I think that's probably fair. Okay, so some people are saying that obviously it makes it look like a pirate and a respected pirate. And Max is saying, "Poor Robin, don't worry, I've kind of drawn the eye patch onto the robin rather than actually capturing one and photographing it in this way." So Kieran's talking about depth perception. Maybe it won't be able to see us. Maybe it won't be able to tell how far away objects are. That's the thing for humans, is that if you cover an eye of a human, then we see in 2 dimensions, and our brain convinces us that we're seeing in 3 dimensions. But actually, if objects coming towards us, we find it really difficult to catch them and work out where they are. You need two eyes to properly see in 3D. And Jasmine's saying it becomes taken more seriously. Japan Maple saying can't see. The robin can still see. It can still very much see through its left eye here. And there's absolute cries coming for a top hat for the robin. I'll give the robin a little top hat. Give it a little cheeky one. Jauntily off at an angle. There we go. might fall off. It'll probably stick on through flight. Okay, so what else? Robinson Crusoe. That's actually quite a good joke. Okay, right. Very unknown person is saying birds see the magnetic field, right? So it's harder to migrate then. I heard birds can see infrared. Kieran is saying. Okay, so there's a lot of people that talk about birds being able to see infrared. In fact, I don't think there are birds that can see infrared, because I know that people kind of think, oh, it'd be cool if they could see infrared because that would help them to see their prey. You know, if an eagle could see infrared, then it could see the hot mouse on the ground and find it in the grass. But actually, they can't see infrared. But eagles can see ultraviolet, which isn't as helpful, but it's still quite helpful because things like animal urine will show up in ultraviolet, so it can still track animals with the ultraviolet vision. But it can't see infrared, and I don't know of any birds that can see infrared, but if anyone does, that'd be really cool to know. Anyway, right, the key thing, this was what a lot of my research was about, and I'll do a longer live on this another time, so I'm going to start bringing this one to an end. But if you cover up the robin's right eye, then it loses the ability to see the Earth's magnetic field, because some birds can literally see the Earth's magnetic field as if it's a colour, but the robin can only do it through its right eye. So someone before was talking about how some birds have some like magnetic material in their beaks, and it's thought that that might be to do with them being able to tell how strong the magnetic field is, but it's their eyes that somehow have the ability to literally see the magnetic field as if it's a colour, but for robins, they can only see it through their right eye. So if you put an eye patch over a robin, over its right eye, then it will lose the ability to find north and south, and it will lose the ability to navigate in the same way that it likes to. It'll give it like a cyborg right eye. It's a bit scary, actually, that. I don't like it. Taking it away. Take it away. Anyway, so yeah, if anyone has any last questions on this, before we stop, just throw them into the chat. I'll answer anything. I'll try to answer something else that comes in quickly. But otherwise, thanks so much for coming. Do head to aimhigh.co if you haven't already to see what's coming up. There are some seriously good lives coming up this week with some great titles. I kind of want to show you the titles actually. In fact, wait, I am going to show you the titles of what's coming up because it's looking pretty good. Here we go. Coming up. Right, let's go back to there. Yeah, okay, so this is what's coming up this week. Curviest lakes and where to find them. Love poetry and why it will ruin your life. Am I the same person I was yesterday? What are the tipping points for our climate? I'm actually on the 29th, so that's Wednesday, isn't it? I'm going to do one on GCSE electricity, so I'm going to do one of like a more syllabus thing just for anyone who's interested in that. So anyone who has friends who are doing like physics in years 8, 9, 10, 11 and they want to learn GCSE electricity, or anyone who wants to catch up on it from A level, tell them that I'm doing that at 11 on Wednesday. And then, yeah, who really runs the country? Do borders really exist? How to tell truth with lies? And this is my favourite one that I'm really looking forward to. How to commit fraud and get away with it, which is going to be really cool. Anyway, thanks so much for coming, everyone. I am going to just check the chat, but otherwise do go to aimhigh.co to check out what's coming up next and make sure you've got the times down, and do spread the word. Do tell your friends about this, because it's one thing setting up a free online learning thing and it's another thing trying to get the word out. So any help that you can give us to do that would be amazing. Thank you. Right, let's see if there are any last questions. Why are robins so friendly? Robins are really friendly. I once held a robin in my hands and it was quite calm. And Kieran's asking, where can I get magnets put in my fingers? Don't know, Kieran. I'm not going to help you with that. Don't know if it's a safe or normal procedure, but I know that people do it. I'm not going to do it. Henry's saying that caribou see in UV as well. Yeah, that'd be so cool to be able to see in UV. And Japan Maple's talking about how it's hard to imagine something we've never seen, but heat cameras show infrared, invisible light. Yeah. And also, presumably it will be possible in the future to get proper cyborg eyes, where we will be able to see things like ultraviolet and infrared. And in fact, I think you're in your eye, in like if you have a smartphone or a phone with a camera like an iPhone, then the iPhone camera is actually sensitive normally to UV and infrared. It's just that it's got a load of filters over the top of it, and the filters cut out the UV and infrared. But there are tutorials on the internet, I think, where you can like pull the filters off so that you can make your phone camera into like a heat sensitive camera and stuff like that. Anyway, right, I'll leave you with that. Do spread the word about what we're doing, and I shall see you. I'm back next on Wednesday, and Hannah is back on tomorrow at 10, and then oh my god, there are 3 going on tomorrow. Check the calendar, see what they are. I'll catch you guys later. Ciao, bye bye.